What's going on, guys? How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you can hear me. Let me know if my sound is good. 5x5. Okay, perfect. Sounds good. Thanks to all the mods for showing up again. I appreciate you guys. Rodney Middleton, Jimmy Rants. Appreciate you. And Amy Sturdivant. Thank you so much for moderating today and last night. I saw you moderating. You were very busy dealing with a lot of different trolls, so thank you so much. So I'm going to give you guys an update on the latest information that I have, but it does appear that things are moving very quickly, so just get prepared as quickly as possible. Stockpile on anything that you need that you don't have. Build up your supply levels. Because I think when this war in Lebanon kicks off, I think we're going to see a lot of panic buying, particularly guns and ammo and components. And then I think we're going to see a lot of panic buying around election time too. Andrew Pickett, thank you for the donation. Good to see you again. So, just so much going on, guys. It's absolutely insane. We have escalation in Ukraine and Russia now. Again, today there was some escalation there. We have the situation in Lebanon continuing to look like it's going to kick off any hour, any day. So, just going to give it a couple more minutes for everyone to get the notification and show up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the news. I'm going to share all the news now, and then after that we'll just hang out, and I'll leave the stream up. We'll keep the EAMs going. We'll keep the flight radars and the cameras going, because I think at any moment something could pop off. So we'll do live coverage, live monitoring overnight after the update. Sean Murphy, thank you for the gifted memberships. I hope you're having a good Sunday night. And Gibbs Brothers, thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. Andrew Pickett, thank you for another donation. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 7, for the mystery of lawlessness is already at work, but the one now restraining will do so until he is out of the way. The restrainer is the Holy Spirit within us. We fly soon. Thank you for the scripture again. Thank you so much. It's really important to remember that there is a God and he loves us, and as crazy as things are, he does have a plan and he loves all of us, and he has promised all of us eternal life. So, just get right with God and put your faith in God and Jesus Christ, and everything will be fine. Lee Billy, thank you for gifting all those memberships. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So, just now we had the Russian military aviation frequency broadcasting a data of some kind of encrypted data, the Russian military aviation frequency. Also, earlier today, the Russian BearNet was active. That's the frequency used by Russia's Tu-95 Bear bombers. It was broadcasting for a short while. And this would be the third broadcast of Russian military aviation in the last 24 hours. So I do believe Russia is going to launch some kind of big strike on Crimea not on Crimea, on Ukraine, uh, because of Ukraine's recent successful strikes on Crimea. So we could see a massive strike on Ukraine this week, potentially, as soon as tomorrow. Thank you, Lee Billy, for gifting those memberships, and thanks for everyone who donated in the prior stream. I'm sorry that I couldn't respond to all of those. Howdy from the Grand Canyon State. The Grand Canyon is beautiful area there. What's going on, Duramax News? Good to see you. T.W. Perry, good to see you. So let me I'm going to give it another minute or so, and then I'm going to get into the main news here. We have a camera coming from northern Poland along the Baltic Sea, close to Russia. And then we have a camera on the bottom left from Kaliningrad. And we have flight trackers over the United States and over Europe. So that's what we have on the screen right now. No problem, Andrew Krigbaum. No problem, Andrew Krigbaum. The EAMs, emergency attack options, they use high frequency systems. They use the high frequency system. But during a nuclear war, they would revert to very low frequency VLF because high frequency would be there would be a lot of interference on high frequency due to all the radiation from the fallout. So before a nuclear war, like right now, they use high frequencies, the high frequency bands. But during a nuclear war, they revert to very low frequency, total opposite end of the spectrum, to minimize the interference by radiation. So I hope Apple Pie comes back. Yeah, Apple Pie was funny. That guy was funny. That operator. I think he was the operator of the nuclear war command and control plane that was off the coast of Norway, which we're going to talk about in this update because that's very serious. So I think I'm going to get started here. I think everybody's got the notification by now. So let me just start reading some stuff off to you. Let's see. So we had some crazy stuff go on in Russia today, in Dagestan. So what you're looking at here is some video footage coming from Dagestan. That's in the North Caucasus. This is right next to Chechnya. This is a Muslim region. Lots of Muslims here. It's part of Russia. Russia conquered it during the USSR and they refused to release it. A lot of Dagestani people and Chechens, they believe that they should be a separate country. That's what the war in Chechnya was about. And Putin showed his viciousness in the war in Chechnya when he completely leveled the city of Grozny. And it's a shame that people didn't pay attention to Putin back then like they do now, because Grozny and Chechnya was the warning sign of who Putin is and what Putin was going to do in the future in Ukraine. But this is coming from Dagestan. There was a massive terror attack in Dagestan, and unfortunately I can't share all the footage here on this platform, but I mean there were some intense firefights, like probably thousands and thousands of rounds being traded between the Russian Spetsnaz and these terrorists. We don't know specifically who they are, and we don't have much information on them. My guess is they were probably some separatists, that because there's a lot of people in Dagestan and in Chechnya that, like I said, they believe that they should be a separate country. So, these could have just been some Muslim separatists, or it could have been ISIS-K or something like that. We just don't know. It could have even been a false flag. I mean, who knows? We don't know. But there was this really strange incident today in Dagestan. Hundreds of Russian Spetsnaz had to be deployed. Russian Spetsnaz, that's like the equivalent of our Delta Force. You know, that's like the most elite Russian soldiers. You know, that's their special ops guys, their black ops guys. So here we have some footage of the situation there earlier, and you can see all these Russian armored vehicles, BTRs. They had to deploy BTRs there. Check it out.
This is postulate, break. 5, Foxtrot, Hotel, Echo, Uniform, Kilo, Stand.
Got an EAM coming in here. Hold on. That was weird. He just got cut off. That's strange. Got an EAM here. That's weird. He started reading the EAM and then it just stopped. That's weird. Huh. We got some data coming in. So this is data. We have some encrypted data transmitting over the one of the primary nuclear war frequencies right now. Listen.
uniform, Kilo, 6, Papa, Asha, Tango, Asha, X-ray, Juliet, Mike, X-ray, Hotel, Romeo, Sierra, Mike, Echo, Whiskey, Sierra, Romeo, Quebec, Alpha, 4, 6, Zulu, Charlie.
Long message.
This is Osprey out.
Well, actually, maybe not long. Just the guy was reading it real slow. Man, that guy was reading so slow. The guys listening on the other end probably missed half of it because they were falling asleep. Okay, so we just had an EAM come in, but we also have data coming in on 8992, which is the other primary nuclear war frequency. This is the data. So something's brewing because they've been transmitting data for the last 2 to 3 days on the primary nuclear war frequency and the secondary nuclear war frequencies. So something's brewing, guys. But anyway, before I got interrupted by that EAM, I want to just continue with the news here. So we had this terror attack in Dagestan, which, you know, Russia could potentially blame on the U.S. There were already some Russian politicians blaming the U.S. for it, saying that it was a CIA operation or something like that. Senior Israeli officials have reportedly stated during high-level meetings in Washington that if a full-scale war with Hezbollah occurs, they will be forced to use weapons they may have never used before to halt the launch of missiles and rockets towards cities in Israel. Wow, so they're going to use weapons against Hezbollah that they have never used before, okay, to neutralize all those missile and rocket facilities before they can launch them. The country of Macedonia is calling on its citizens to leave Lebanon immediately. This comes after Bulgaria told its citizens to leave immediately. Kuwait told its citizens to leave. Canada is in the process of evacuating their citizens from Lebanon. I showed you guys the footage yesterday of the airport in Beirut. It was just completely mobbed with people trying to get out. Same thing in Israel at Ben Gurion International Airport. A lot of people were trying to flee because if a war breaks out between Hezbollah and Israel, it's not going to be like Hamas. You know, Hezbollah has a lot more capabilities than Hamas has, and potentially Hezbollah would target a lot of the main transformers in Israel, which would knock out the power for a year or more. Now, I do believe that Israel has been preparing for that. So I think that Israel's probably been creating some kind of plan to reroute electrical power, or maybe set up generators of some kind, or miniature power plants. I don't know what they've done, but I'm sure I know they've been preparing for this for the last few months, because I reported it like 6 months ago that Israel was putting together civil defense plans in the event of an escalation. They were figuring out, you know, what to do with the electricity, the food, the water after a war with Hezbollah. So they've been preparing for this, but Hezbollah, they're going to target all the major facilities in Israel. So this is going to be serious, guys. As soon as Israel launches their attack, Hezbollah is going to launch everything they got at Israel. And so the key is going to be for Israel to make their first punch count. You know what I mean? They're going to have to go in there, and in their first strike, they're going to have to annihilate as much as possible and neutralize all those artilleries and all the rockets and everything in their first couple of sorties, because soon as Hezbollah knows that they're going after them, they're going to launch everything. So they have to make it count. So this is another EAM.
Postulate, rate 5, Foxtrot, Hotel, Echo, Uniform, Kilo. Stand by. 5, Foxtrot, Hotel, Echo, Uniform, Kilo. Stand by. 5, Foxtrot, Hotel, Echo, Uniform, Kilo. Stand by. Message follows. 5, Foxtrot, Hotel, Echo, Uniform, Kilo. 6, Papa, Foxtrot, Tango, Foxtrot, X-Ray, Juliet, Mike, X-Ray, Hotel, Romeo, Sierra, Mike, Echo, Whiskey, Sierra, Romeo, Quebec, Alpha, 4, 6, Zulu, Charlie. I say again, 5, Foxtrot, Hotel, Echo, Kilo, 6, Papa, Foxtrot, Tango, Foxtrot, X-Ray, Juliet, Mike, X-Ray, Hotel, Romeo, Sierra, Mike, Echo, Whiskey, Sierra, Romeo, Quebec, Alpha, 4, 6, Zulu, Charlie. This is Postulate out.
Wow, another EAM. Wow. You know, it's possible that Israel could start their strike on Lebanon tonight, right now, or tomorrow night, or, you know, it could happen very soon. Based on what I'm seeing, it could happen very soon. So anyway, Israel's going to have to knock out everything in their first strike. But let me just continue with some of the updates here. So Macedonia calling on its nationals to leave. Senior Israeli officials stating in high-level meetings in D.C. that if there's a war with Hezbollah, they'll have to use weapons they've never used before. Hezbollah launched drones at a factory for the Israeli defense contractor Rafael earlier this morning, and Rafael produces the Iron Dome missiles for Israel, among other advanced precision weapons. So very interesting strike by Hezbollah. Looks like Hezbollah is trying to, I guess, I don't know, prevent the Israeli strikes on them. I don't know, by going after the defense contractor. The UK Telegraph is reporting that Hezbollah stores missiles and explosives at the Beirut International Airport, and that the missiles that Hezbollah is storing at Beirut Airport include the Falak and Fateh missiles, okay? We were hearing earlier today of non-stop low-flying Israeli fighter jets in the Galilee region. And Ukraine struck and destroyed another Russian early warning radar today in Crimea. This would be the fourth long-range early warning radar that Ukraine has destroyed since the spring. They destroyed 2 on the Russian mainland, and now the second one in Crimea. The Ukrainians used the ATACMS missiles to do the job, and they hit the former NYP-16 space tracking and deep space communications center near Yevpatoria. This site was used during the Cold War to communicate deep into space with Russian cosmonauts through the fall of the Soviet Union, where it was abandoned, and then after Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014, it was converted into an early warning radar for the strategic defense of Russia. So Ukraine taking out another early warning radar for Russia, okay? This is serious, guys, okay? Because Russia's nuclear war doctrine says clearly that any attack on the Russian nuclear forces or components of the Russian nuclear forces, which would include early warning radars, would be grounds for using nuclear weapons. Now, Putin said last week when he was in Vietnam that after meeting with Kim Jong-un and signing a mutual defense treaty with Kim Jong-un, that he was going to lower the nuclear threshold, meaning that it would be easier for him to use nukes. So Putin is basically setting up to use nukes in Ukraine. And Ukraine keeps, basically kind of, I hate to say this phrase, poking the bear, because I hate that phrase. I think it's stupid, poking the bear. But, they are kind of, trying to piss off Russia here. And, I do believe Putin is crazy enough to nuke Ukraine. I really do. I think he's going to probably do it. If things continue the way that they are with the situation with these advanced weapons now going into Ukraine and NATO allowing Ukraine to strike inside of Russia and the F-16s coming in, I think Putin is going to nuke Ukraine, okay? So this is very serious. Ukraine taking out another early warning radar site for Russia's strategic defense. This is part of their nuclear forces, guys. This is how they detect ballistic missiles or missiles that are trying to attack them, okay? Russia is claiming that over 120 people have been injured and a dozen or so killed in Crimea by a Ukrainian cluster munition attack with American HIMARS rockets. Several high-profile figures in Russia are now calling for revenge against not only Ukraine but also America for providing the weapons. Ukraine is denying this attack and saying they hit a base full of Russian soldiers. There was some video footage that came out showing a beach in Crimea, reportedly showing the Ukrainian cluster munitions landing on unsuspecting Russian beachgoers. I want to remind you guys, this could be a fake video or some kind of a false flag. America has denied the claims by Russia and has made no comments on the matter. Okay, so Russia is claiming that a Ukrainian cluster munition attack killed half a dozen or a dozen people in Crimea and over 120 people were injured. And there was this really sketchy footage, which I personally think it's fake, showing people on a beach somewhere running away and bombs going off, So Russia's claiming that this was a Ukrainian terror attack and that they purposely hit civilians with cluster munitions in Crimea. But you see where this is going, guys, This is going to give Russia every excuse they need to use nuclear weapons against Ukraine. And Maria Zakharova, the Russian Foreign Ministry spokeswoman, said that Ukrainian forces purposely chose mass gatherings of people for shelling. So, wow, the Russian foreign minister saying that Ukraine purposely chose large groups of people to shell them. And the Russian Ministry of Defense said that the U.S. is responsible for this massacre and they will get an answer. All flight missions for American ATACMS missiles are pre-programmed by American specialists based on their own U.S. satellite intelligence data. Therefore, the responsibility for the deliberate missile strike against the civilian population of Sevastopol lies primarily with Washington, which supplied this weapon to Ukraine. as well as with the Kiev regime from whose territory this strike was launched. Such actions will not go unanswered. Wow. So very strong words there from the Russian Ministry of Defense. And then we had that terror attack in Dagestan, and that happened in two cities. There were two attacks going on at the same time. One was in Machakala, and the other one was in Derbent. And Machakala is like the capital of Dagestan. Apparently, a Orthodox priest was beheaded or potentially had his throat cut, and a police post was attacked with 5 Russian police officers being killed, and dozens of hostages were taken, and then apparently the attackers abandoned the hostages, and they burned down at least one Orthodox church and one synagogue. Okay, so sounds like ISIS to me. Sounds like the handiwork of ISIS. The National Security Advisor of South Korea said South Korea will have no restrictions on helping Ukraine if Russia provides North Korea with precision weapons. Wow. And South Korea has a huge capacity to produce artillery shells. They have their own HIMARS system. South Korea sold like 500, or no, not 500, it was 300 of their HIMARS to Poland recently. It's called the Chunmo launcher, which is like an identical copy of the HIMARS. It can do the same thing. They sold like 300 of them to Poland. They can give those to Ukraine. They have all kinds of air-launched cruise missiles. They have air defenses. They have all kinds of stuff, guys. South Korea, many people think of South Korea. They think of technology, Samsung and, Hyundai or Kia or whatever, Honda, whatever those cars, wherever they're from. I know one of them. I know Kia's from South Korea, but I think Hyundai maybe also. But anyway, that's what you think. You think technology, but actually South Korea is one of the most militarized countries in the world. They have a massive amount of tanks. They have a massive amount of missiles, a massive amount of air force. Their capabilities are staggering, okay? South Korea probably could, in my opinion, take over half of Europe if they wanted to. They could probably defeat Germany, the UK, and France in conventional warfare. Their capabilities are massive, okay? So they're going to start helping Ukraine with no limits if Russia starts supplying North Korea with weapons. So that is huge. And Putin already threatened South Korea. And Congress here in the U.S. is now laying the groundwork to restore nuclear weapons on approximately 30 B-52 Stratofortress bombers starting in 2025. So this is huge news, guys. The B-52, if you don't know what it is, it's an old bomber. It's like from the 50s they started building the first B-52s. And they're not stealthy, but they don't have to be, because they carry what are known as air-launched cruise missiles. So they have these cruise missiles that can fly like across an entire ocean, okay? And each B-52 can carry 20 of them, and each one of those cruise missiles has the W-80 thermonuclear warhead, which has a blast yield of 150 kilotons, which is like 10 times as powerful as the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombs. So each B-52 can carry 20 of those. Currently, we have 50 B-50, about 50, I think the exact number is like 56 or 54 B-52s that have nuclear weapons deployed on them and are ready to launch at a moment's notice. Okay, so we have about 50 plus 50 to 56, somewhere in there, of B-52s that are in service with our nuclear forces. And then we have another couple dozen that are just for conventional use and for training. But what Congress is talking about now is making 30 B-52s part of our 30 more B-52s added to our nuclear forces. So that would augment our capabilities quite a bit. That would be like another. If you do the math, 30 B-52s. You figure each one carries what is it? 20. I think it's 20 air-launched cruise missiles, or maybe less. I don't know. But you're talking about probably 500 more deployed warheads. If those 30 B-52s are fully loaded with the double pylons on each wing, they have 2 pylons under each wing. Each pylon can carry 3 air-launched cruise missiles. That's 12 under the wings, and then they have an internal bomb bay with a rotary launcher. I think they can carry, I forget how many, I think 6 in there or more. So you figure about a couple hundred, probably about 500 more warheads that we would have deployed. And then, there's been talk of rearming our Minuteman missiles with the 2 extra warheads. Now that Putin pulled out of the START treaty, we can now rearm our Minuteman missiles with 2 extra warheads on each one. So we have 400 Minuteman missiles that are deployed as part of our nuclear deterrent. And right now they only have 1 warhead on each, but we could potentially add 2 more on each one. That would be another 800 warheads plus 500 warheads on the B-52s. Plus, we could also add 4 more Trident missiles on each one of our Ohio-class subs, because we removed those as part of the START treaty. And by the way, you can thank Obama for all of this, because it was Obama with his START treaty and the Russian reset. And, we removed all those warheads from the Minutemans. We removed 800 warheads from our Minutemans. We removed all those B-52s from nuclear service. We removed 4 Trident missiles from each one of our Ohio-class subs. We have 14 Ohio-class subs that are officially part of the nuclear service. And each Trident missile can carry up to, I think, 10 or 11 W-88 warheads. And the W-88 warhead has a yield of up to half a megaton. So the Trident missile, one of them can carry 10 half-megaton warheads. And we could put 4 of those on each one of our 14 subs, So that would be another massive capability as well. And I'm sure they've been thinking about this now that Putin pulled out of the START treaty. Plus, with the new Pentagon estimates of China's nuclear arsenal, they're saying that by 2035, Russia will have, or China will have 1,500 deployed warheads, which is basically similar to the amount that Russia and the U.S. have deployed now. Okay, so this is huge and very concerning. So the United States now, we have to increase our arsenal to match both China and Russia together. We have to exceed both of their arsenals put together. Okay? So we're going to be busy the next couple of years, hopefully, augmenting our nuclear arsenal. So that's pretty huge news right there. Also, 4 U.S. Air Force B-52s assigned to the 69th Expeditionary Bomb Squadron began flying missions in support of Bomber Task Force 24-3 at RAF Fairford in the UK since May the 24th. Bomber Task Force Europe demonstrates the U.S.'s commitment to assure NATO and U.S. allies of the shared commitment to global security and stability, as well as to conduct strategic training focusing on interoperability across the area of responsibility. So we have 4 B-52s that were deployed to Europe, and we've actually been tracking them the last couple of weeks. I've been showing you guys the flight paths of these B-52s. A lot of them were going into the Baltic Sea. Some of them went down into the Mediterranean. So we know that the U.S. moved 4 B-52s to Europe now. We also moved a nuclear war command and control plane to Europe, which is, I've never seen that before. And I'll show you guys the flight path of last night. We were tracking it live here on this channel. I think I was probably covering it before anybody else. and this nuclear war command and control plane was flying super low. This means that we have some kind of nuclear submarine, nuclear armed submarine in Europe somewhere. If we have a nuclear war command and control plane in Norway, okay, and it was flying over the Norwegian Sea last night, it was doing loops over the Norwegian Sea, that means we must have a boomer somewhere off the coast of Norway. A boomer is a nuclear armed sub, okay? So that is a sign that we are on the verge of something going down in Europe. If we have a boomer in Europe, okay, and if we moved a nuclear war command and control plane to the theater, that means that they're expecting something to happen, and they moved it there as a precaution in case they have to more easily communicate with the boomers over there. My guess is they may have an Ohio-class sub in the area that's maybe loaded with Tomahawk missiles, because there wouldn't really be much advantage to moving a boomer that has Trident missiles from, because the Trident missile, see, our missiles, unlike the Russian missiles, our missiles can strike anywhere in the world from anywhere, okay? So our Ohio-class subs with the Trident missiles, they could literally be sitting at the port, okay, getting maintenance done, and if they had to, they could launch their missiles from the port and hit anywhere in the world, okay? Russian missiles, Russia actually has to get kind of close to our shoreline because their ballistic missiles are smaller and they don't have the same payload and they don't have the same range as ours, okay? Our Trident missiles are massive missiles, and so we can hit anywhere in the world from anywhere, but Russia has to get kind of close to their target, so it wouldn't make sense for us to actually move a boomer that close to Russia. I mean, it kind of would, because it would shorten the warning time a little bit. The travel time would be cut down to maybe 10 minutes or so. But, a boomer being like right off of Norway, I mean, that's just like, that's like 200 miles from Russia. I mean, in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I think we have potentially a sub with Tomahawk missiles loaded, and maybe nuclear warheads on those Tomahawks, because they have 4 Ohio-class subs that they converted to carry Tomahawks, 154 Tomahawks. So it's possible we have one with Tomahawks, because that would make sense to move it closer if you're going to be using Tomahawk missiles, because they have a limited range. They can only go like 1,000 miles or so. So it would make sense to bring those closer, but like a regular boomer with the Trident missiles, it doesn't really offer much advantage to get that close. It's actually a disadvantage to get too close, because then they could be sniffed out and sunk. It's actually better that they stay further away in the depths of the ocean where they can't be detected, rather than coming in close to the coastline where, Russian sub hunters can pick them up, and Russian subs can pick them up. So this is huge news, guys. This is absolutely huge. I mean, for there to be a nuclear war command and control plane now in Europe is just crazy. The Polish foreign minister said that Poland is considering the possibility of closing the last 2 border crossings with Belarus. So there's only 2 border crossings left with Poland and Belarus, and Poland wants to close them. Taiwan's annual war games this year will be as close as possible to actual combat, no longer just putting on a show to score points, but aiming to simulate real fighting, given a rapidly rising enemy threat from Russia, a senior official said. And we've seen Taiwan just preparing like crazy for a war with China. They've mined their northern coast, their southern coast. They've put sea mines all along their northern coast and their southern coast. And they've mined all their ports in the event of a Chinese amphibious assault. Those sea mines would sink a lot of the Chinese ships. They've also been doing exercises recently on the beaches. They've been practicing repelling a amphibious assault on the beaches. They call them red beaches. Red beaches are the beaches that Taiwan identifies as most likely avenues of approach by China, and they've been doing exercises to repel the Chinese, landers. And the Houthis apparently are threatening to target the U.S. and Israeli ships in the Red Sea now. So the Houthis are going to be targeting Israeli and U.S. ships. They said if any American or Israeli ship enters the Red Sea or the Persian Gulf, it will be destroyed. The Houthis may have attacked another ship in the Red Sea today. The British Maritime Trade Organization said they received a distress call from a ship in the Red Sea today. Absolutely insane. And I really believe that they might have hit one of our aircraft carriers a few weeks back. It may not have done any major damage, maybe mostly cosmetic damage, but I think they might have hit one of our carriers. So let me just show you guys some stuff here. Let's see. So this was just right before the program started. We had the Russian military aviation frequency broadcasting data. So this could be Russian bombers possibly. Maybe they're getting ready to strike Ukraine in the coming days. So that weird sound, it sounds weird because it's data. So that's why it has that weird sound, just think of like a fax machine or something like that. Here we have a picture that was released by the Ukrainian government showing a successful strike by Ukraine on a Russian drone facility. This was in Krasnodar Krai. This is in Western Russia, close to Crimea, close to the Black Sea. This huge factory here that they were using to build the Iranian drones, or actually they were storing them there, and a massive building just totally leveled. Here we have some pictures of the B-52s in Europe, the 4 B-52s that were moved to Europe. Okay. You can see here, this is the website of the U.S. Strategic Command. Bomber Task Force 24-3 is underway in Europe. So we moved 4 bombers to Europe, guys. That is huge, okay? Along with the Nuclear War Command and Control plane. And last night there was a NOTAM posted for this area off the coast of Norway where the Nuclear War Command and Control plane was looping. My guess is they put this NOTAM up because of the trailing wire antenna that they were using to communicate with the submerged nuclear armed subs over here off the coast of Norway. The only other thing I can think of, if we don't have a nuclear armed sub now off of Scandinavia somewhere, the only thing I could think of is that they're practicing communicating with the British subs, because the British have 4 nuclear armed subs and the French also have 4 nuclear armed subs. So potentially this could have been like an interoperability thing where they're going to incorporate British subs, British nuclear subs now into the U.S. strategic forces in the event of an escalation with Russia, potentially. I don't know. This is the facility here that was hit by Russia or by Ukraine. This massive satellite facility, which is now an early warning station for the Russian nuclear forces. And we'll take a closer look at it on Google Earth. I found it on Google Earth so you can get a bird's eye view of it. But at the height of the Cold War, this thing was like one of, I think it was like 15 or 20 of these stations they had across Russia that they used to communicate with various space assets that Russia had. I mean, this is insane. Look at this. Was like a satellite ground control station, basically, and deep space communication. This kind of reminds me of like James Bond, GoldenEye. You know, when you see stuff like this from the Cold War, it's just insane. The engineering for back then, you know, everything was just so gargantuan. It's crazy. And earlier today, we had 4 nuclear war command and control planes airborne. I'm sure a lot of you guys were hearing them transmitting messages. We also had a presidential Doomsday plane that went from D.C. to Offutt Air Base, which is a bunker in Nebraska. And what's interesting is Biden said today that he's not going to go anywhere until the debate on Thursday with Trump. So I think that Biden went to his bunker in Offutt Air Base, and he's probably there. He might have went there today, and he's probably going to stay there the next couple of days because of the situation going on with Lebanon and also with Ukraine. But I think Biden is in his bunker. But 4 nuclear war command and control planes, E-6B Mercuries, plus a Doomsday plane. That's very unusual for a Sunday. You know, Sundays are usually slow days for the military. They like to take it easy. Unless there's something going on, then they usually take it slow on the weekends, you know. But for there to be 4 of these up in the air, that's a lot in general, but on a Sunday, that's really a lot. And we basically had one in each body of water surrounding the U.S. We had one in the Pacific, one in the Gulf, and one in the Atlantic. And, you know, we have boomers in all these bodies of water. We have boomers in the Pacific, the Gulf, and also in the Atlantic. So they were communicating with the boomers. And we had another U.S. RQ-4 Global Hawk doing this really dense surveillance pattern off the coast of Crimea today. It was flying all day over here, and what's interesting is that it was flying right opposite of Sevastopol, so it's possible we may see some more Ukrainian strikes in the coming hours on Sevastopol area. The Ukrainians may be attacking more critical sites here, okay? But they did take down that early warning radar already, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. Kind of been just going nonstop with all the news so I can get through it all as quickly as possible. I'm going to get to the donations and the super chats once I'm done with my update here. So all you guys that donated, thank you very much. I'm going to read your super chats in a sec. I just want to get through all the news first. So potentially Ukraine is going to strike Crimea in the coming hours. We had a U.S. Navy sub-hunter patrolling off the coast of Lebanon earlier this morning and late last night. Okay, so that's another sign that something's about to go down. And we had this Estonian Air Force plane fly up to the border of Russia in Narva. Narva is a city that's on the border with Russia in Estonia. And it's a critical city. There's a lot of Russian-speaking people there. But this Estonian Air Force plane flew right up to the Russian border. Just another sign that something's about to go down over there. And here we have the nuclear war command and control plane that was flying off the coast of Norway. And you can see at one point it was flying just 1,000 feet above sea level. Okay, I mean, that is so low, guys. Just 1,000 feet above the water here. And it was looping for a while. There was also a sub hunter in the same area. My guess is they were trying to locate a friendly sub, and maybe they flew low to try to see the sub visually. Maybe they had a hard time figuring out where it was, and they were testing out their equipment, you know, because they have this giant antenna that they use. It's a giant wire that they deploy out the back of the plane, and they can communicate with the subs through the water that way. And my guess is they were probably testing their equipment and calibrating and stuff, and that's why they had the sub hunter there to assist so they could locate where the sub was. And my guess is the E6 was flying low so they could visually locate where the friendly sub was. And I don't know why they would need to do that, but that's what it seems like to me, because 1,000 feet is like right above the water. I mean, that's really low for a plane. That's like super duper low. And it was flying pretty slow at that time too. It was only flying like 200 miles an hour. So very, very strange, but just another sign that something's about to go down. If we have a nuclear war command and control plane here in Europe now, stationed there permanently, that is huge, guys. That is just insane. We have another U.S. Navy reconnaissance drone here patrolling the coast of Libya. This was also last night. We have another one up in the air right now. So they're flying these reconnaissance drones to Tripoli for some reason from Sicily. They're deploying from Sigonella, it looks like, and they're heading down to Libya every night. I don't know why. I know there's a Russian base there. I think a Russian naval base. But they're really keeping an eye on Libya these past few nights for some reason. We had 2 Polish border guard planes fly close to the Belarus border last night. And we had this really short burst of encrypted messages go over the nuclear war frequency here in the U.S., the primary nuclear war frequency. This would be like the equivalent of 911. They sent some encrypted data, so let me just play that for you. This was in the afternoon. It just lasted like 30 seconds, so it's a very short transmission. So that was the encrypted data. And then we had some more last night. They were broadcasting this data all night long. So something's brewing, guys. If they're constantly broadcasting this encrypted data on these frequencies, these primary and secondary nuclear war frequencies, that's very serious. And then here we had the Russian Bear Net last night. This is the Russian Bear Net. This is for their Bear bombers. Oh no, wait, I'm sorry. This is actually this isn't the Russian Bear Net. This was last night another data transmission over the primary nuclear war frequency here in the US. So, very serious situation, guys. Something big is about to happen very soon. So let me just get caught up here on some of the super chats. Andrew Pickett, thank you for the donations. I appreciate it. Rodney Middleton, thank you for the donation. Greg, that knife of yours is SUP9, aka spring steel. Oh, that's supposed to be a good steel. It seems really good. I haven't actually tested it out, but it's a really nice beefy knife that you made. I'm gonna do a video on it very soon. Um, Papa G, thank you for the donation. God bless you too. And Samuel Turner, thank you for the donation. I think that when Israel and Iran its proxies get into it, China will make its move. They would be fools to delay. Yeah, I agree, Samuel Turner. I think China's just sitting back and waiting for the right opportunity to make their move. I completely agree. Tammy, thank you for the donation. Tammy says howdy from the Black Hills. How's it going, Tammy? Black Hills are beautiful. Thanks for the prayers. Mary Catherine, thank you for the donation. Wishing birthday greetings to birthday people. Andrew Pickett, thank you for another donation. I want to see Culinary and Apple Pie go radio to radio. Celebrity match style. Oh, that would be cool. Besides the dude who ran a mile before radioing in, do they seem more serious than usual to anyone else? Yeah, they definitely seem more serious. You can tell by the tone of their voice sometimes. Just got this through Telegram. Russia says BRICS must be ready for the collapse of the US dollar. One world currency is on its way here, family. Yeah, the one world currency is something they've wanted to do for a very long time, and it's inevitable. So a good way to prepare for that is to get some gold. Gold is always something that, no matter what the currency is, gold is always valuable. I do have a sponsorship with Noble Gold. You can check out the link that I have in my description for Noble Gold. I don't know if I actually, maybe did I remove it? Let's see, is it still there? Looks like I don't have it. Let me add that in there. I'll add it in there in a little bit. Jennifer Praises, thank you for gifting those memberships. Really appreciate that, Jennifer. I hope you're having a good Sunday night. Hope you're relaxing. Lee Billy, thank you for another generous donation. Wow. You're the man. I really appreciate you. Lee Billy gave a huge donation yesterday. I was just blown away. Thank you so much. Lee Billy says thanks for all your hard work. Yeah, no problem. Things are getting crazy, so I'm trying my best to cover everything. And thanks for all your donations. I really appreciate it. It's very nice of you, and I'm just happy that everything's okay with your health and that you don't have cancer. I was so relieved when I heard that. So EM, thank you for another generous donation, EM. I appreciate you so much. Greg, again, I can't thank you enough for all you do. Would you lead us in a short prayer for you, the mods, and encourage everyone here to pray along? Thank you so much, EM. I really appreciate those donations. You're the man. Super generous. I hope you're having a good Sunday night. Adam Tannehill, thank you for the donation. Thanks for saving that kitten again, buddy. Yeah, no problem. I love animals. I'm an animal lover, so yeah, my pleasure. Thanks again, Lee, Billy, and EM for those very generous donations, and I will do a short prayer. Rosemary Fabian, thank you for the donation. Why would Russia nuke Ukraine? They would get the fallout? No, not necessarily. That's a misconception. So it depends on what kind of weapon they use and the burst altitude. Burst altitude is really what makes the big difference with fallout. So burst altitude, if you don't know what that is, that just means the altitude at which they detonate the warhead. And you can detonate warheads underground, underwater. You can detonate them at the surface level, right on the ground. And then from ground level all the way up to 300 miles into space, you can detonate anywhere in between there. But typically the most common burst altitudes, you have what's known as a high altitude burst, which would be like 200 to 300 miles above the Earth's surface. This is out in space. This would be to destroy satellites and to generate an electromagnetic pulse. That's called a high altitude burst. Then you have what's known as an air burst. An air burst typically with nuclear weapons is going to be about half a mile to a mile above sea level. So that's going to be, a couple thousand meters or a couple, let me think a minute. Let's say, 1,000 to 2,000 meters above the ground. If you're a European or anybody who's not American and using metric, it's going to be like 1 to 2 kilometers above ground. So with an air burst, you're not generating any fallout or very little fallout. And the reason why is because the fireball is not contacting the ground and it's not contacting any objects. Okay, so fallout is literally particles of sand. It's literally like, it's vaporized matter. That's all fallout is. I mean, fallout is literally people, objects, trees, houses, cars, buildings, animals, everything living and non-living material that is vaporized by the fireball, okay, gets sent up into the air, and then it condenses and it cools down, and it forms these little particles that are known as fallout. Okay, so if the fireball is not contacting anything, then nothing's getting vaporized and you don't have the fallout, So with an air burst, if they were to do air bursts over, let's say, every big city in Ukraine, let's say Kharkiv, Kiev, Zaporizhia, whatever, Dnipropetrovsk, all those cities in eastern Ukraine, central Ukraine. I don't think they would do it in western Ukraine. I think the furthest west they would go would be the capital, Kiev. I don't think they would go to Lviv. I don't think they would go to Khmelnytsky or any of those other Western Ukraine would not be nuked, but central and eastern Ukraine would be nuked. And because they wouldn't want to detonate nukes right next to NATO's border, because that would potentially cause escalation. So to be on the safe side, they would nuke all the eastern Ukrainian cities like Kiev, Kharkiv, Odessa for sure, those three for sure. Zaporizhia maybe, Dnipropetrovsk, Poltava, some of those other ones, Kryvyi Rih. Those could also be hit, but with an airburst weapon, airburst warhead, there's no fallout because the fireball is literally in the middle of the air. It's 1 mile above sea level. Okay, 1 mile in the air, so that fireball is not contacting buildings. It's not contacting living or non-living things. It's blowing up in the air. So the only effects after that are the blast wave and the thermal pulse. And so by doing an air burst, the damage is more widespread because you don't have anything that's limiting the spread of the blast wave. The blast wave propagates outwards from the fireball, And if you detonate the warhead at ground level, some of the blast wave is going to be, some of the energy of the blast is contained by the ground. The ground absorbs that energy, and as a result, the blast wave doesn't travel as far, okay? But with an airburst, the blast wave travels much further, but it's not as powerful, obviously, because you're not because the blast wave is further away. It's up in the air, so by the time the blast wave reaches the ground, it's already slowing down a little bit, but still it propagates further outwards. So if you're trying to damage a large area, then you want to do an airburst. If you want to damage, let's say, a hardened target, then you want to do a surface burst. Like if you want to destroy like a bunker or base or some specific target, then you do a ground burst where you want to concentrate that fireball right on top of the target. But if you just want to, let's say, destroy buildings, make an entire city uninhabitable, then you do an air burst, okay? Because that blast wave is going to go out, let's say 20, 30 kilometers, and it's going to have the same power as like a Category 5 hurricane, okay? So it's going to blow over buildings, cars, windows are going to be damaged, street lights, power poles, everything. So they would just do air bursts, and I've addressed this numerous times in the past. They would just do air bursts. They're not going to do surface bursts. Number one, it wouldn't make sense, because if they're trying to target cities, they're not going to do surface bursts. They're going to do air bursts, and then that would eliminate the threat of radiation. If they do all air bursts, there won't be any radiation, basically. There'll probably be zero fallout if they do all air bursts, so they may think in their mind, oh, it's not that big of a deal because, yeah, it's a nuclear warhead, but it's not generating any radiation because we're detonating it in the air, so it kind of has the effect of like a large conventional weapon, and that might kind of make Putin feel like, oh, okay, it's not that bad, Sarah Jean Hazel, thank you for the donation. Thank you, Greg, for all your tenacity to keep us truthfully informed and updated. Blessings always. No problem, Sarah. Thank you for the donation. And Weavers, thank you for the donation. Thanks for all the work you do for this channel and for all of us. God bless, and we are praying. Thank you, Weavers. Really appreciate that. And Saturn, thank you for the donation, Saturn. Don't just prep for a specific event, also prep for the fallout of people who didn't prep. Yes, that's right. Prepare for the unprepared people that are going to be panicking and trying to take your food because you're prepared. And, people are going to turn into animals. When they don't have food, they don't have water. When their kids don't have food and water, they're going to do whatever's necessary. And if that means taking your stuff, people will do that. Just look at any natural disaster and you'll see how people's true colors come out. Look at like Hurricane Sandy in New York City. People were fist fighting for gasoline. It's just crazy, Andrew Pickett, thank you for the donation. Heavenly Father, I pray that before more violence begins, that eyes will be open to you, the one true God, and Jesus, our Lord and Savior, so that even one soul might be saved into eternity. Thank you so much, Andrew. Appreciate the prayer and the donation. So I'm going to say a quick prayer. EM requested me to say a quick prayer, so let me just turn the radio down. So we're going to start now. Bow your heads. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Dear God, please watch over everybody in the chat tonight. Keep them safe, keep them healthy. Protect all the people that are living in war zones right now, the people in Ukraine, Israel, Gaza. Please provide food for the hungry and help provide shelter for the homeless here in the United States. Amen. And I'm just going to say the Pledge of Allegiance real quick. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I hope I answered the question about the fallout and why Russia wouldn't really care too much about the fallout. Janine the Queen, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. And thanks for the kind words. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. So yeah, things are really getting crazy, guys. Things are really getting crazy. So that's pretty much all the breaking news that I have for tonight. I'm going to keep the stream up for continuous monitoring of everything going on. So I'm going to keep the stream up overnight, and we'll be monitoring live everything going on. And then I'll be back tomorrow with more updates. But just make sure you guys are getting prepared, because when things happen, they happen quick and unexpectedly. So you don't want to be caught with your pants down. So let me just check the flight tracker here. We have a U.S. Air Force reconnaissance plane taking off from Britain right now. It's probably going to go into Poland. Look at this. We have a C-5 Galaxy here. C-5 Galaxy, that's the heaviest U.S. military cargo plane heading to Poland. There were actually two C-5s that went to the Powice Air Base in northwest Poland. Powice is the most advanced base in Poland. That's where at one time F-22s landed there and stayed there for quite a while. I think it was like 6 F-22s were deployed there like over a year ago. It was like the first year of the war in Ukraine. So we had two C-5s go to Powice a couple days ago, and so that's very concerning. Now we have another C-5 going to Powice. So looks like it's going to Powice. I don't think it's going to Rzeszów, which is where all the NATO equipment goes to Ukraine. Based on where it's going, it looks like it's going to Powice. Oh, I want to just show you guys the early warning system that Ukraine struck today. Let me see here. So I found it on Google Earth. So I'll just zoom out so you guys can see where it is on Ukraine, or on Crimea here. So this is Crimea, and it was right up here. You can see right here. It's actually an S-400 site nearby. You see right here, 40th Separate Command and Measurement Complex, NYP-16. So this, you can see these old satellites here. You see this? So this is the facility that was used during the Cold War to, this was a satellite ground control station. It reminds me of GoldenEye, the video game. Any of you guys remember GoldenEye? The one level surface where they had all those satellites in Siberia and you got to go into the bunker and stuff. Thank you, Kyle, for the donation. I really appreciate all your generosity, guys. I'm just blown away. Thank you so much. 5.2 earthquake in Mexico 11 hours ago and a 4.8 near Japan. That's interesting about the Mexico one. And that 6.0 off of in Venezuela was crazy. There were multiple like 6.0 earthquakes in Venezuela 2 nights ago, which is just extremely rare. But yeah, this is that facility. We don't know specifically where. I mean, we know that they hit the early warning system, so it's we don't know if they hit the antennas. Did they hit the control buildings? You know, we don't really have those details, but here you can see all these satellites here, and you can see these little towns nearby that all the people that work in this facility probably live there. Look at all these buildings here. But look at these satellites. That looks crazy. Massive amount of these satellites here, but you can see they have this pretty serious perimeter fence around it. Look at that. Look at that perimeter fence. Looks like a wall. They have like a wall here. That's crazy. They have some kind of observatory here. Multiple of these observatory buildings here. More satellites. More satellites here. Wow, another big satellite, but I think they probably hit down here. Down here, there's this area right here. Here's another antenna, or here's another satellite, and then here's the antenna, I believe, for their early warning system. This thing right here, I think this is the antenna, and I think this is what Ukraine hit. They hit this giant antenna thing here. This is clearly an early warning radar, based on the lines here, the way that early warning radars are shaped. So, you know, just a giant antenna basically that they probably hit that. That's what I'm guessing, but Daniel, I'll keep you in mind, Daniel. I'll definitely keep you in mind. Thank you for the support, Daniel. I'll definitely keep you in mind. Daniel, if you could actually send me an email, Daniel, I would appreciate that. That would help me to remember you. If you could send me an email, that would be good. We could talk about it over the email. The EAMs have quieted down a little bit. I have them on in the background, so if we hear anything, if anything comes in, we'll hear them. But this looks like the area where Ukraine hit, so figured I'd show you guys that. But there's just so many targets here on Crimea. Look at all these different targets here. Wonder where the C5 is going to be going. Wonder where the C5 is going to go. We'll see where the C5 is going. That's going to make a huge difference. It looks like it might be going to Rzeszów, which wouldn't really be super concerning. It just means that they're flooding Ukraine with weapons, but if it lands somewhere here, like in this area, then that means that it's reinforcing Poland, which is a bad sign. That means that they're preparing for war with Russia. It does look like it's descending a little bit. Do I think something will happen tonight, or do I think it's going to be a few days? I really can't say for sure, which, it's hard to say. It's like at any time something can happen, I don't know. I would say definitely this week something is going to go down. I have no doubt this week is going to be crazy. I have absolutely no doubt. But whether it's tonight or tomorrow night, I don't know. I would say for Israel to launch a strike tonight, it's already probably too late. It's already morning time over there. So I don't think Israel's going to do anything tonight. I don't think Russia's going to launch a strike anytime in the next hour or two on Ukraine. But I do think Russia's planning a strike on Ukraine to retaliate for taking out the early warning radar. So I think we're going to see that. It's probably going to be pretty massive. I think we're going to see that probably either tomorrow, maybe even in the morning when Ukrainians are going to work in the morning. They're going to launch missiles at them when they're going to work, possibly, which is something they always like to do. So that's possible. We could see something like that. Yeah, Israel's giving them until the end of the 24th. That's correct. But just remember, the 24th is Israel's time, not our time. So it's already in Israel. It's already I think they're 8 hours ahead. So it's already 900 in Israel. So they're 8 hours ahead. I mean, it's possible tomorrow night they could launch a strike. They could launch a massive strike tomorrow night on Lebanon. But again, it's going to have to be a monstrous air campaign. They're going to have to take out a massive amount of artillery and missile sites, all those missiles that are at the airport. I was reading you guys the update earlier, the Beirut airport. They'd have to take everything out because Hezbollah has a massive amount of artillery and missiles. So it looks like this C5 is probably heading for, this is probably Ukrainian weapons for Ukraine. Because if it was going to land in Povids is over here. You can see right here, this is Povids. It's the advanced air base. It's flying right next to it, and it's not slowing down, so it's probably not going to Povids. It's probably going to Rzeszów. But still, that's a massive That's a massive plane. It's the largest cargo plane we have. So this probably has a ton of equipment for Ukraine. And then we have this recon plane about to take off.